It's 10:32.
LBC News.
Let's talk car loans, shall we? And this could be one of the really big mis-selling. I'm not sure if it was mis-selling, because a lot of us as consumers were unaware this was going on. But it's when you take out a car loan, when you take out a PHP or PCP, one of those kind of plans, just how much were the dealers being paid by the company that set up the loan? It is being unveiled bit by bit, and I'm just noting here that Santander, for instance, one of the finance houses that funded some of this stuff, has said that it's put aside £295 million to cover potential payouts to car loan customers, so tacitly really admitting that something is wrong and some kind of compensation will be owed. But, of course, the scale of it is still to be established. Sam Ward is working in this area. He's the director of Sentinel Law. We're on a call together right now. How big a scandal is this, Sam?
Oh, it's huge, Martin. I think if you compare it to something that listeners are probably very familiar with, such as PPI, which is the payment protection scandal, that was about 50 billion at its height. And analysts have already come out and said that they are expecting the current figure to be around 23 billion in cost to the banks for the motor finance scandal at the minute. And that figure is ever rising as more and more news comes to light.
Good grief, I hadn't got the scale of this issue right. About half the size of the PPI scandal. That's the latest estimate, is it?
Correct, yeah. So the PPI was 50 billion at its height. We're already at half of that, and this claim type has only just had its day in court, so to speak. The Court of Appeal obviously came out just at a couple of weeks ago now and ruled that these were unfair. There was a unfair relationship, and to be honest, they were quite blunt with their terminology and said that the lenders were being greedy and acting in their own self-interest.
Let's do the role play here to try and understand this, Sam. You are the garage salesman. I've agreed to buy a car, and he's saying, are you cash or are you looking for credit? And Mr. Stanford, and I say, I'll do one of the payment plans, give me a monthly plan. And then what happens?
Yeah, for sure. So you go into the car dealership and you're expecting that car salesperson behind the desk is interested in selling you the vehicle because that's where they make their money and that's where their profit margin is. So you assume that whatever finance is being offered to you, so the monthly payment plan that you've told to the salesperson you're happy to spend £200 a month or £300 a month, you're assuming they're going to go out to market and find the best deal for you because they want you to use this finance to buy their car and ultimately make the profit that they want to do. What's actually transpired here, Martin, is that they were actually earning more money from the commissions from brokering the actual finance, in fact, from the lender to yourself, than they were earning profit in the car, and that's what's actually caused the scandal.
So if you looked at some of the numbers, it could be they were actually selling the vehicle to me at a loss. It was a lost leader because the finance deals were so lucrative for them.
Absolutely. You could say that the vehicle was the mechanism to sell the finance, Martin, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. It could have been anything. Could be selling a load of bananas. But the point is, I didn't know this. As a customer, I was blissfully unaware. I mean, I can, of course, the more consumer-savvy people might shop around. You might get a PCB deal from your own bank and things like that. There were options. But most people just go with what the salesman or that particular... I mean, the salesperson often hands you over to a finance person, don't you? As they have a second member of the team to seal the deal. But they were working to my unfair advantage.
Absolutely, Martin, and this is where the issue, the Court of Appeal has taken issue. You as the consumer have gone into the car dealership expecting the salesperson to have a disinterested duty and be acting in your best interest, but in actual fact, when you get hold of the terms of business and you scrutinise the relationship between the car dealership and the lender, you actually found that there was a first right of refusal to one specific lender, or they had very lucrative terms with a bunch of lenders that they prioritised for their own self-interest.
Oh, so it didn't actually matter which one I chose? It was a false choice? They were always going to get their bit off the top, as it were.
They was always going to get their bit off the top, but they were incentivised to do so by the lender. So therefore, when these dealerships within their terms and conditions say that we will approach our panel of lenders, which could be 22 lenders, you automatically trust that you're going to get the best deal for your personal circumstances. And that wasn't the case. And the Court of Appeal actually found that the lenders themselves, for incentivising these dealers to give them first refusal or offer or go with the lender that lined their own
pockets. Put them top of the pile. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, look, Martin Lewis and other experts in this sort of consumer space, and we talked to Which about this about a week ago, they're all saying, you just need to register. If you feel that you've been hard done by, you become a victim of this and will be owed some compensation, just register. There are free tools and guides and log-ons and things available. Is that the way forward?
You can definitely send a complaint on your own behalf, and you could try to handle this on your own accord.
I detect a but.
Yes, the big but is the big but is the equivalent advice of saying if your car breaks down, fix it yourself. If your boiler breaks, fix it yourself. And that's probably very all well and good for the mechanics and the plumbers out there. But for the ones, myself included, who don't know how to do that, I would definitely employ a professional representative. And case in point, at Sentinel Legal, we actually had a letter from Santander on behalf of one of our clients. Santander said that their client was only owed £478 in commission. It actually transpired after pushing back and going back and forth with them over months and months and months that the client was owed £2,900 worth of commission, Martin. And that has been raised with the FCA. We've gone back to Santander and we said, face value, a unexperienced, ill-informed consumer making a complaint, as Martin Lewis is advising people to do, would have been undercompensated and deceived by the lenders to the tune of about £2,500 difference.
Right, but you've got your fee now to add to that. If you go to a legal company, they take a skim off the top, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In resolving the dispute.
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
and the scandals about that, Sam, so we've been down this track before. I just want to be clear with the audience who are listening. What is an acceptable percentage or of the payout for you to take from the customer for doing the work on their behalf?
Well, it's a great question, Martin. Obviously, the compensation is significantly higher through our data, through handling it for a professional firm. But you're looking anywhere in the region from somewhere from 25% to 30% that you will probably be expected to hand over to a professional firm. Now, that's I think, speaking
well, it's a choice. You can try and do it yourself.
It's a choice.
Or you hand it over to a professional firm, but you've got to bear in mind they will take a fee for it. They are working on your behalf. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okie doke, Sam. Listen, I think this story isn't going to go away, is it? It's going to play out. If they're setting aside the 295 million, just on a rough rule of thumb, doesn't look enough, does it? Really? If what you're telling us is true.
Yeah, we're at 23 billion, which is 50% of the PPI market at the minute. The Court of Appeal is going to be appealed by the lenders. That potentially could go to the Supreme Court. The FCA came out yesterday and said out of the 31 million car finance agreements that were issued since 2007, 99% of them had a hidden broker fee. So I think we're very, very much just seeing the tip of the iceberg here, Martin.
Sam Ward, thank you for explaining it for us, and he's a director at Sentinel Legal, Sentinel Law. 10:40.